What is going on, everybody? I'm Blockchain Crusader, crusading through these blockchains every single day, and we are back for a live stream today on Monday, the December 15th, right as Bitcoin is starting to push a little bit back to the upside after a major drop today, guys. So let's get rocking and rolling. Let's make sure you guys are smashing those likes and filling up those like meters over on TikTok and wherever you're watching. Make sure you guys are tapping those likes right now and filling it up, and let's get it rocking and rolling here, guys. So straight to the point here, Bitcoin, right, earlier today came all the way up flying towards the weekly average, has not tapped it just yet, got rejected at 89,900, started dropping like it was hot and lost the previous week low of 87,497. 87,500, let's call it just that. 87,500 for Bitcoin, and Bitcoin has dropped since then to as low as 85.1. Now we're recovering a little bit here, pushing back up to 86,300 as this last 1 hour candle for the 4 hour candle is coming into a close. We're trying to make a little recovery here in the last 2 hours. We shall see how much of recovery we actually get here. Are we going to get just a retest of this previous week low of 87,500 before dropping back down lower? That is still in the cards. Good to see you. Guess who's Chicken Boo? Good to see you, brother. Good to see you guys in here. Good to see all of you guys smashing those likes. Been waiting to hear from the GOAT. Thank you. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Holding shorts from 87K. Do you see it retracing and pushing back up? So there is a potential, right, for us to push back up towards this 87,500, retest this area. If we get rejected here once again, we could be pushing back lower. Now, if we start to reclaim this 87,500, and what I mean by that is start to close some dailies above it, hold some 4 hour candles above it, right? Start holding back above 87,500, then we still have a target of 90,000 to the upside for later this week. But that's all going to come depending on what happens when we come, if we come back to 87.5, which I would not be surprised if we did, right, for a retest. And that's going to be the do or die moment of whether we reclaim this area and start climbing back higher, or we get rejected there and continue on our path down towards 80,500. So that's what we're looking at for Bitcoin here in the short term. Looking on over to SUI as well, sitting at 146, dropping below its monthly open, dropping below its previous week low of 152. Next big target, if we continue to the downside, would be 131. Let's see here, make sure I'm not missing anybody in the chat. What's going on? Keep tapping those likes. Make sure you guys are dropping your altcoins into the chat if you guys want an altcoin to be covered here. Make sure you guys are dropping it in there. Now let's go take a look at XRP real quick. XRP is still continuing on its downtrend, right? We've come all the way down to about 186 today, well below this green support zone that we've been holding for many months, practically the full year since December of 2024. Now we start to close dailies and weeklies below this. This shows weakness in XRP's price that targets anywhere between 182 to as low as 113 for XRP in the mid to long term of downtrend to the continuation to the downside for XRP. Now in the bright side, right, some big news that we have been getting here, right? We all know right now that the Bank of Japan is just all over the market, right? Why do I say this? Well, because really simply, Japan is planning on raising rates, right? They're planning on raising rates, and every single time they've done this, they did it back in 2024 2 times, and guess what? We had, a nice little pullback, negative 23%, negative 26%. We did it in January of 2025, negative 31%. Now we're coming into the Friday the 19th. They're going to be doing another interest rate cut. Surprise, surprise, right as we enter the weekend, are we going to have another 20% dump? Very possible. If we do, right, because they raise interest rates, which they most likely will, and the reason why, if you don't understand why Japan raising interest rates crashes Bitcoin, is because Japan is the biggest global money lender, or at least one of the biggest, right? So they lend a ton of money. They make a ton of foreign investments, right? People borrow a bunch of money from Japan because interest rates were so low. And now they're raising interest rates, making money, borrowed money, more expensive, meaning there's going to be less liquidity being pulled out of Japan and into global markets. And that also puts on a pullback for risk on assets like Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin is still considered a risk on asset and will continue to pull back as less money flows out of Japan and into these global markets. So if we go take a look at Bitcoin's price, right, and we look at a 20% drop, let's just average out 20% drop from, let's just go from the previous week low here, since today's the first day, boom, of the week, right? Let's just go up here. Let's say we zoom back up to 85, 87.5. A 20% drop will take us well past my target of 80,000. That's only a 7% drop. 15% will take us down to 73,000. And 20%, 22, yeah, 20% would take us to 69,000. We have a yearly NPOC of 67. So I would just say straight down to $67,000 is the next main target if we are going to repeat history and have another 20+% drop, right? 23, 26, 31. If we just have a 20% drop, we will most likely drop into $67,000 price point for the Bitcoins, which is going to hurt. It's going to hurt the altcoins real bad. Now, that is what the market is expecting. We also need to always be aware that when the market, or I should say, when we are expecting the market to do something, and a lot of people are focusing on this one thing, right? I do believe a drop to 80,000 is possible. Now, a drop all the way to 86 to 67, definitely on the cards. But if everyone's expecting a 20+% drop for Bitcoin, is Bitcoin going to do the opposite? Is Bitcoin not going to give us what everyone's expecting, right? Probably a lot of shorts are starting to pile in right now as they're getting very interested in this Japan interest rate cut because everybody's talking about it. And if everybody's looking for lower, we might get lower all the way to 80,000 and we might not. And we might just do the opposite and have a push to the upside. So targets to the upside here for Biddy. All right. Let's go back over here to the 1 hour. Like I said, if Bitcoin gets back above 87,500 this week, I would be looking for 90,000 to about as high as $92,000, between 90 to 92,000 for Bitcoin as a push to the upside if we start to reclaim the 87,500 price point. Now, before we continue discussing more of this stuff, let's jump into the chat. Let's see what the chat is saying, guys. I hope all you guys are smashing those likes, hitting that subscribe. I know you think XRP is Fugazi coin, but do you see it going up or down for 2026? Let's see this XRP hitting $1. So XRP is going to do what Bitcoin does. And if Bitcoin is going to have a 20% drop down to $67,000, right, in the near future here with the Japan trade, with the Japan interest rate cut, then XRP will continue to go down, right? What is Bitcoin doing today? Bitcoin is dropping. What's XRP doing? XRP is dropping, right? XRP has been dropping for many months now, creating lower highs, even though Bitcoin made new all-time highs throughout the same exact time period, right? Throughout the same time period of July all the way to October, Bitcoin was making new all-time highs, yet XRP was making lower highs continuously in this downtrend. So if Bitcoin does drop to 80,000 or lower, XRP will drop lower. Now, if Bitcoin does have a large move to the upside in Q1 of 2026 or into Q2 of 2026, if we do have a very large move to the upside, then yes, XRP will continue to push up. XRP and any altcoin is going to follow Bitcoin. Now, the question is XRP going to make a new all-time high? Right? That's what everybody wants to know. Is XRP going to make a new all-time high in 2026? Well, let me tell you guys, we have a lot we have a lot to accomplish here. XRP needs to stay above $2, needs to get above 288 to then run for the local high of 366, and then we potentially have a target of 416. Now, the odds of this, we're going to have a better picture to understand where XRP and altcoins are headed once the year closes in the next 2 weeks. And now, why do I say that? Because right now, when we close out in the next 2 weeks, the yearly, we're going to be getting yearly range data along with yearly trend, a lot of yearly data overall we're going to be getting for 2025. We're going to be getting a 6-month close. That's more data that we're going to be getting. We're going to be getting a quarter 4 close, right? We're going to be getting new quarterly data. And we're going to be getting new monthly data for the month of December. So 4 key time frames. We're getting all this encapsulated data in the next 2 weeks, which will paint us a better picture, a better idea of where Bitcoin could be headed. So far, if we just continue looking at Bitcoin, right? So far, zooming out here, this is the previous week data. Let's just not worry about this right now. Let's zoom out here to the daily. Zooming out to the daily, ignore everything down here right now, right? This, what you're seeing up here, right now, this is the yearly range, the yearly developing range. We still have one more month of data left over, the month of December, for this range to be completed. So far, assuming we were to close today, the entire year, right? We have this range above us. We are currently below. We're currently existing below this range, meaning that if we were to reclaim this range, getting above its value area low of 96,000 and jumping back into the 2025 yearly range, look where the 2025 naked point of control is developing at right now. It's developing around $104,000, which is a big push from 85, right? If we start pushing above 96, we have a good chance of running for 104. We're inside this yearly range where there's a ton of volume. Look at this massive sack of volume back here, right? Between 104 to 126. It's not like we hit 126 and just melted, right? And we have no volume up in the 120s. We have a ton of volume above 110 to the 120 area, which is also going to make a strong resistance, right? But nonetheless, getting above that 105 area will put us inside the range, put us above the naked point of control that is currently developing for 2025, giving us a better chance to run for new all-time highs. Now, like I said, we're going to be getting new quarterly data, new 6-month data, and new yearly data at the end of this 2 weeks. But the question is, are we going to hit some lower lows first before doing that? And that is on the cards, guys. That is possible. It is possible. It's not guaranteed, but it is possible with the way Bitcoin is behaving, right? Bitcoin here is potentially going a little bit lower. It's trying to make a little recovery here right now as we close out the last hour of this 4-hour candle. Trying to make a little, push back to the upside, but we're not out of the woodwork. Meanwhile, we stay below this previous week low. Let me jump back here into the chat. Appreciate all you guys smashing those likes, hitting that subscribe. If you're over on TikTok watching right now and you want to watch the charts, make sure you go on over to YouTube, Blockchain Crusader on YouTube, and you will find me there so you can see my chart. I am looking to buy more ADA and Chainlink. Just wait to see what happens with Japan. Yeah, 100%, man. Waiting to see what happened with Japan is definitely something critical. There's a lot of eyes on Japan right now. Everybody is watching and waiting to see what Japan does and how does the market react to Japan, right? So can we head lower? Absolutely. Now, ADA, right? ADA has already been melting. ADA's already been melting like butter here. So ADA is currently falling below its previous month low of 38 cents. We're sitting right smack on it right now, right? If we continue dropping lower, targets to the downside are between 36 cents to as low as 27 to 25 cents for ADA. But overall, ADA is already a decent chunk down. Can it go lower? Absolutely. ADA is unfortunately one of the ones that I classified as overrated. I hold a fat bag of ADA, and I do hope ADA can get back above $1 in 2026. But unless ADA can start doing something drastic that can really start changing the game and start really driving more developers and more DeFi and more money into its blockchain, ADA's drying up like a raisin in the sun, man. ADA's drying up right now. Solana making a nice little push back to the upside of 125 after coming down as low as 123.5. So we'll see here what Solana does. Solana following along with Bitcoin very closely here. Let's go take a look at Chainlink. Chainlink here trying to hold support, right? Trying to hold the support here around $12. If it doesn't, its next targets to the downside are between $11.61 to $11.04, which is an old target, not really that relatable right now. But overall, Chainlink is just slightly falling out of its previous 2-month range here of October and November. We do have it bi-monthly NPOC up at 1740. So if we can hold support and get back above 1336, continue to hold that 1336 cent area and higher, right? Holding above $13, we do have a chance of running for 1740, which is the bi-monthly NPOC for Chainlink. Now, if Chainlink, like I said, continues heading lower here, its next big targets to the downside are probably going to be after $11. It's going to be somewhere around $8, which is a low from August of 2024 for Chainlink. Let's keep an eye here on Bitcoin. We have 37 minutes left before this 4-hour candle closes, and Bitcoin is trying to make a push back up. Let's jump back over to the chat. Alts have no bottom, 99.9. Oh, 100% agree. 100% agree. Alts have zero bottom. They can go to zero for sure. 100%. XPR, please, and Flare. Did you mean XRP? Because I'm not familiar with XPR. Would be nice. Chainlink under 10. Chainlink under 10 is definitely very, very possible. Chainlink, very fundamentally bullish, very connected to everything that is doing, but unfortunately, fundamentals is not enough. Fundamentals is not enough to push price, because look how bullish 2025 has been for Chainlink in partnerships and regulation and everything that they're doing. Yet the price topped out around $29 to $30. Like, it hit like low 30s in 2024, and that was it. That was it. Like, that's all you got, Chainlink? Everybody was calling for a $100 Chainlink, right? Algorand. Let's go take a look at Algorand. Oh, you did mean XPR. So what the heck is XPR? XPR Network. $81 million market cap. This thing is super tiny, super high risk. Up 80% this year, down 32% on the month. We'll take a look at that in a bit here. Let's go take a look at Algorand. Algorand, the melting on its way down, just like everything else, right? Losing its previous week low here so far, dropping below the weekly open of 11 cents. Next big target to the downside if we continue this downtrend, right? Look at Algorand. Algorand's been nothing but down since its top of Q3 here at 33 cents in July. We hit 33 cents in Q3, and since then we've been nothing but down in this major downtrend. If this downtrend is to continue, its extended fib targets to the downside are between 9 cents to 6 cents for Algorand if we continue pushing lower and lower and lower. Now, we are developing some targets to the upside, right? We have a bi-monthly NPOC up at 18 cents, and then we have a few other untapped targets between 23 to 25 cents, but that is going to I'm not looking at 25 cents anytime soon. Let's see here. Appreciate everybody watching. Appreciate all you guys smashing those likes. If you're not already in the Crypto Citadel, my private trading community, definitely do so and join. It is about $5 a day to be in there every single day. So make sure you guys are going in there if you want to start learning how to trade. We did a free webinar this last Sunday for everybody that joined. It was fantastic. Great learning opportunity. But if you want to be learning from my trading course, you get access to the trading course, which I'm extending new content into that trading course. So launching part 2, more a little bit more advanced topics of the trading course. That's going to be coming out here before Christmas, hopefully. So trading course, daily trade signals, daily market updates, live trading sessions Monday through Thursday for 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. and much more. All of this is what you get inside the Crypto Citadel. So if you want to start learning how to trade, you want to start actually learning how to extract value from the market, meanwhile your altcoin bags and your long-term holds are sitting sideways doing nothing for you, now's the time to start learning how to trade. Not in the time when it's FOMO season. Excuse me, guys. Excuse me. Everybody wants to be a trader when it's FOMO season, when it's altcoin season, when everything is skyrocketing to the moon, because everyone's like, oh yeah, man, I just hit buy and tomorrow I'll be in profit and the next day I'll be in profit again and the next day I'll be in profit. Oh, we have a little bit of dip. I'll hit buy again, go long, and I'm going to just make all this money. And everybody thinks they're this great trader because it's up only season. But that doesn't make you a great trader, guys. That is a seasonal moment. And when things get rough like they are now, only the best traders are extracting capital right now. Everyone else is getting wrecked. 75K Bitcoin coming soon. Soon is a relative term. Soon can be in 2 weeks. Soon can be tomorrow. Soon can be in 6 months. Soon can be in a year, right? Soon is a very relative time frame. But yes, 75K, right? If we go back to what we talked about, the Japanese rate hikes, and how every time they've made an interest rate cut or an interest rate hike, right? We did 2 in 2024. We dropped about 23 and 26%. We did 1 in January of 2025. We dropped 31%. They're doing another one on Friday, this Friday on the 19th. If we do another 20% drop because of that interest rate hike, right? If this trend continues and we do another 20% drop from where we are right now, from current price point, takes us down to 67. Takes us down to 67. Not saying that that is where we're going. I'm just telling you the trend if you're going based off those Japanese interest rate hikes. Should I buy Bitcoin right now? Fantastic question. First of all, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not here to give anybody financial advice on what they should be or should not be doing. I just like sharing my charts for educational purposes. Now, would I be buying Bitcoin at this point in time right now? No, but my price point, my entries are different because I've been in the market since 2017, 2018, right? I've bought Bitcoin at 15,000. I've bought Bitcoin at 20,000. I've bought Bitcoin at 30,000. Am I interested to buy a drastic amount, right? If I had limited amount of capital right now, would I be buying at 86,000? No. I would be interested in buying Bitcoin at that $67,000 price point and lower. We start dropping below 70s, and that's when I would be picking up more interest in scooping up some more Bitcoin at that point in time. Not saying that I'm going to be buying a boatload of Bitcoin, right? Tens of thousands of dollars the minute we hit 67. No, that's just where I would start to feel comfortable dollar cost averaging and buying small amounts as we continue to head lower if we do at that point in time. So, other people have no exposure to Bitcoin at all. They have never bought Bitcoin. 86,000, way better than $126,000 now. If you're buying today, you need to be fully aware that whatever you're buying today, you have to be willing to hold for the next 4 or 5 years. You need to be able to dollar cost average for the next 4 or 5 years. So there's a lot of factors when it comes to finances that only you will know the answer to, that only you will be able to know if it is a good time for you, personally, because if you're constrained on cash, if you're constrained and you don't have money flow coming in, so therefore you won't be able to dollar cost average Bitcoin. If you buy today and Bitcoin dumps to 60,000, you won't be able to dollar cost average, then you might not be ready and you shouldn't be buying today. 69K would potentially liquidate Sailor. Will that drive it down further? Everybody's very hyper focused on Sailor getting liquidated. Sailor's not going to get liquidated. Sailor just bought more today at $87,000, right? Whatever the price point was, 90s or whatever. He's been buying every week the last couple of weeks. So if we continue dropping lower, it's not like we're going to just flash crash down to $67,000 in the next 2 hours. That you can say, well, maybe there's a liquidation event there for Sailor at that point in time. But it's going to be a slow drawdown, which allows him to continue dollar cost averaging and buying more and more and more and more Bitcoin, bringing his averages down, avoiding liquidation. The only way he can get liquidated is if for whatever reason he cannot raise more capital, he cannot raise more funds, and his stock price starts tanking extremely hard, and all his investors begin to lose confidence in him. Now, is that scenario 0% chance? No. That scenario, I would probably give it a 25 to 30% chance possibility. It's not zero. It does exist, right? But it's not the likelihood. It's not the likelihood right now. Bro, so if I had a long open yesterday, it looked super bullish and I didn't see green daily and it was retest for continuation. Wait, what? If you had a long open yesterday, you talking about last night during the Asia trading session that we had a nice little push to the upside. Yeah, man, that was a nice little long, but that was not a long-term hold. That was a day trade kind of entry, right? Because we dropped hard on Sunday. Sunday closed, Monday opened. Asia market sent it up, and then New York session sent it back down. Too much FUD? Who's giving FUD? There might be a lot of FUD being spread out there. I'm just covering facts. I'm just covering charts, my friend. What's a target for Bitcoin? Depends. What are you looking for? You're looking for the downside or upside? What about Solana? Good entry? Good entry for what? For buying, long-term holding, going long? Like, you guys need to be more specific on what you're looking for. Sailor average price buy-in price is 66K. Okay. That doesn't mean that can't go lower as we head lower. Respect. I do enjoy your insights. Thank you, man. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. Appreciate it. Guys, you need to be specific. If you're looking for targets on any asset, you need to be asking, tell me the asset you're looking for. Tell me, hey, I'm looking for targets to the upside, or I'm looking for targets to the downside. Day trade, swing trade, spot hold. Like, hey, I just want to, is it a good time to buy spot, right? It's a very different question than, is it a good time to go long? It's not the same. You're both betting on it going up, but long comes with leverage, meaning there's liquidations, meaning there's stop losses, meaning there's different attributes to that question. Bitcoin here, 26 more minutes for the 4-hour candle to close. Trying to make a little push to the upside for buying Solana. So Solana right now, right, it's at 125. It dropped below the previous week low, just like Bitcoin. It's following Bitcoin very, very closely right now. Targets to the downside for Solana here in the short term is between 121 to 119. If Bitcoin continues heading lower, Solana will continue heading lower, and its targets are between 121 to 119. Now, below that, we don't have another target until $73,000, right? Because if you look at here, right, we are in a very large range here. This is the range for November. Let's zoom out here to the daily. Chart's a little messy, but overall, the grand majority of 2025, we have been above 116 for Solana. The grand majority of the entire 2025 has been above 116. we start dropping below 116, that means we will be dropping out of this developing yearly range, meaning our next main target would be $73 for Solana. That is a big target that I am personally interested in to buy Solana at. I've bought the majority of my Solana around $20. I have bought Solana above 100, but the grand majority of it is still down at 120 at $20. So I wouldn't be too interested in buying too much Solana, right? I'd maybe buy a small amount here in the low 100s, depending on what Bitcoin's doing. But if Bitcoin looks like it's going to continue heading lower, $73 is the big target I would be looking for to start accumulating larger amounts of Solana. And just know that if you're buying altcoins can go to zero. Altcoins can always go much lower. They can be down 90%. Guess what, guys? They can drop another 90%. And you're like, how does that math? Guys, it's percentages. You're dropping 90% from whatever current price point you're at. It's not that it's dropping. It's different. Most people think of 100% as the grand total, like the entire liquidity of Solana or whatever is going to go to zero. And if you're already down 80%, it can only drop another 20. Now you can drop another 90% from current price point in percentages. Let's go take a look at Aerodrome here. Bitcoin's still trying to make his little push to the upside. Let's go look at good old Aerodrome. So, excuse me there, guys. I'm getting a little tired. Aerodrome here, falling out of his developing yearly range as well. Big target to the downside would be 38 to 32 cents. Those are the two big targets to the downside for Aerodrome. If we continue heading lower, we're currently sitting at 53 cents. Now, if we can hold this yearly range that we're developing, we do have targets between 82 to 86 cents for Aerodrome in the short term, in the short to mid-term price point. That's what we're looking for, 82 cents. But oh my gosh. But if we continue to drop lower, right, big targets to the downside would be 38 to 32 cents for Aerodrome. I have a huge bag at 9, so I don't know if I should cut my losses. I don't foresee going down to 9 cents. Down here at 9 cents, that was like launch date time frames, right? That Aerodrome had just came out at that point in time. Like I said, I'm not a financial advisor. You got to do whatever is best for you. ICP. Oh, man. ICP. Got everybody excited. Briefly. Even myself, I thought we were actually going to hit my targets of $10.50. Ran it all the way up to $9.84 in November. And then just melted it all back down to where are we at right now? $3. If we continue dropping here, I mean, we are already at like the lows for September of 2023. We're at pretty much at the lows of September 2023. If we continue dropping lower, next big target down here will be 120. Yeah, that'd be the next big target. It would be 120. Oh, 90 cents. Oh, you got in at 90 cents for Aerodrome? Oh, yeah, that's very different than 9 cents. I was like, man, you got real lucky. You got right as it launched. That's fantastic. Yeah, so you got in at 90 cents. You got two things to do for yourself, right? Two things to ask yourself. One, are you keeping up with what Aerodrome is doing in the long term? Right? We know that Aerodrome is one of the biggest DeFi players on the Base network. The Base network is ran and controlled by Coinbase. Coinbase is becoming bigger and bigger every single day with all the regulations and all the things that they're doing. They just partnered up with PNC Bank to allow PNC Bank themselves to make buys for Bitcoin through Coinbase on their end, right? So the client can just call up their PNC Bank and be like, yo, buy me some Bitcoin, and they'll buy it for them, right? So Coinbase is continuing to grow due to favorable regulation. Base network will continue to grow, I personally believe, and that would, I personally believe, lead to Aerodrome to continue growing. Now, does that mean that Aerodrome won't continue to drop lower? Absolutely not. Aerodrome can absolutely keep dropping. So are you a long-term believer and fundamentally continue to believe that Base and Coinbase will continue to grow? Aerodrome has made some decent strategic partnerships with, I think, with Solana and a few other projects. So overall, I do believe they're going to do well. I'm a long-term holder of Base. Of Aerodrome. I've been buying Aerodrome since like the low 20s, low 30s. So I'll continue to hold personally. That's what I'm going to do and continue to let it ride, right? Altcoins for me are a very, very small percentage of my portfolio. So they're not like, you know, I don't have at any point in time more than 10 grand or something like that in an altcoin. I have a few $1,000s at best in an altcoin, right? The grand majority of my portfolio is based on lower risk assets. So if you're one of those people that have a very high level of capital attached to these altcoins, then you might have to, manage your risk differently. Maybe cutting some losses, waiting for some lower price actions wouldn't be terrible. So, it all really depends on your risk tolerance. How much capital are you actually putting into these altcoins? How large of these altcoins, how large of a percentage are they of your portfolio? And do you have the means to continue dollar cost averaging into them? But we all know that altcoins are not guaranteed to make all-time highs, right? Just because an altcoin was fantastic one year does not give it a guarantee that it's going to do great the next year, the next bull market, the next whatever. If Japan increases Friday, what should we look out for price-wise? Well, based off this chart over here, we could see a potential drop around 20% or so for Bitcoin, maybe even larger. But overall, probably like about 20-15% drop, which could take Bitcoin down into the low 70s, high 60s. So that is something to be keeping an eye on. What do you think we'll see another time high recording according to your data? Oh, a new all-time high. There you go. I couldn't see it. A new all-time high according to my data. So, guys, according to what I'm seeing here, right? I'm going to show you something that I exclusively only shown people in the Crypto Citadel. Where is it? So, let me jump out here to the daily. Bitcoin right now is in a very critical area, right? Its yearly developing range, like I mentioned earlier, is above us, meaning that the developing yearly NPOC is above us at 104,000, give or take, right now. We won't know for sure until the year closes out, but that's where pretty much it's developing at. If Bitcoin can get back above 96,000, we will be re-entering this range. Re-entering this range gives us a good opportunity to run for 104, right? This is a strong possibility in Q1 of 2026, right? To jump up higher. Even if we go lower first, right? We can't just go low forever. There will be retests of some critical levels, and this is a very critical level. This $96,000 to $98,000 area, very critical. If we can hold this range and get above this point of control of 104.5, then we start to build a stronger case of a potential rally into all-time highs later down the line, in Q1 or Q2, whenever this reclaim occurs. Now, meanwhile, we stay below 96,000, 98,000. We need to be looking for lower, right? We need to be looking for more bearish momentum, especially as we retest these areas like we did last week with the FOMC meeting. We swept the previous week high multiple times. You guys look at this right here, right, on the daily. Look at these major wicks here, right? These are swing failures trying to break out above 94,400. Rejected. 3 days of rejections. Boom. We start dropping like it's hot. So getting past these rejections and starting to push up higher is critical to start looking for a new all-time high. Now, I would not be looking or to be too concerned with all-time highs right now. I would just be looking to try to catch the next big price move. If we have the big drop, be prepared to if you haven't dollar cost average or you haven't allocated anything into Bitcoin or Ethereum, that's what I'm looking to do. I'm looking to allocate at 73,000 and lower. I'm looking to allocate some cash, put some risk on for that. Can it drop lower? Absolutely. But that's where I'm willing to start putting on more risk on my long-term bags. As a short-term trader, I'm looking for any retest to some highs that I can get to short it on the way down. Now, if we start getting above 96, 98, we start looking for a little bit higher, right? So it's just if else scenarios. If this happens, look for this. If that happens, look for that. It's not just a blank statement of like, hey, we're at 86,000. We're going to drop down to 80,000 and then we're going to fly right back up to 126 because there's some crazy fugazi thing on the chart. Anybody that's telling you that is just selling you hopium. The backpedaling is crazy. What backpedaling? I haven't backpedaled on anything, but I love the haters. The haters got nothing else to do than to come on here and start talking trash. But yet none of the XRP, I'm sure this guy's an XRP bootlicker, loves and never backpedals on XRP no matter how much it dumps on their head. Let's go take a look at Ethereum. What does ETH not show inverse head and shoulders on the larger time frames? Guys, head and shoulder patterns are the easiest patterns to invalidate. So they're not very reliable. Yes, a lot of people they're very easily identifiable. So a lot of people like to follow them. But I don't really waste my time with inverse head and shoulders or just head and shoulders in general. So Ethereum here, right? Doing pretty well still, even though we're still making higher lows, right? We have the low of 2,600, then we have the low of 2,700, give or take. Then we currently have 2,900. But if we start dropping below 2,600, we got to be looking for 23 to a down all the way down to 1,800 for Ethereum. As you guys can see here in the previous week, we are in a downtrend overall. We are pulling back lower. If we do not start recovering and start running back towards 3,200 and higher, we are going to be looking for 26 to about 2,300 for Ethereum to the downside. But overall, on the more macro side of things for Ethereum, as you can see here, Ethereum's held very well with that recent pullback with the recent pullback from the top of 126 for Bitcoin. Ethereum is overall held up pretty well, staying here in the $3,000 price point, right? Staying above 2,600, coming down to its gold pocket from its lows to its highs. Fantastic move. It's had a nice bounce from there. Can it go lower? Absolutely. But overall, still within its current yearly developing range of 2025. We do have an NPOC, a yearly NPOC developing below us at 2,500, which is a little bit of concern, but it's not a big drop from where we are now anyway. So not a huge problem if we were to drop down there first. Let's see here. 11 more minutes for this 4-hour candle close. Things are definitely oversold. We've had a nice little steep retracement today. So it's all going to come down to what happens if Bitcoin comes back up to 87,500. Once we retest this level, do we get rejected and pull back, or do we start reclaiming and moving forward? Imagine buying Bitcoin at 45,000. Yeah, that's fantastic. Buying Bitcoin at 45,000. But if we see a $45,000 Bitcoin, the grand majority of people right now watching this stream saying that buying at 45,000 would be great will be pooping their pants, and they will not buy at 45,000 because everyone is going to be looking for lower and lower, and everybody wants to catch the absolute bottom. Nobody wants to buy 45 if there's a possibility of dropping to 20. Nobody wants to buy 45 if we're going to drop to 30. Nobody wants to buy 45, right, if we're going to drop down to 15. Like, nobody wants to buy at 45 if you have all these other potentials of dropping lower. And that's where everybody gets caught every single time. When we were down at $15,000 in 2022, going into 2023, nobody wanted to buy at 15,000 because everybody was saying, well, we could drop down to 8. We could drop down to 10. Like, that made a damn difference in the long term. In the long term, whether you bought at 15 or you bought at 10, we went all the way up to 126. And yes, hindsight is 2020. It's fantastic. But we've seen this same song and dance every single time. 2018, Bitcoin dropped from 20,000 to 10,000, eventually dropped to about 5,000. Nobody wanted to buy. We rallied up to 14,000 by 2019 or something like that. Then 2020 crash came. We dropped all the way down to 3K. Nobody wanted to buy 3K Bitcoin during the massive pandemic, right? Because everybody thought the world was going to end. But guess what, guys? If the world was going to end, you don't need that money. So might as well invest it. Because if you do survive the end of the world and the world doesn't end and we do have another rally like we did, buying a 3K Bitcoin would have been the best financial decision you would have made in your entire lives. But 98 to 99% of you guys did not do that. Did not do that. It's just the reality. Nobody wants to buy fear. Everybody wants to buy FOMO. That's the problem. Everybody loves hopium. And when we're at ultimate fear and we look like we're going to drop lower and lower and lower and lower, nobody wants to buy. Nobody wants to buy. One, because people make mistakes and they buy every single dip out there thinking it's the final dip instead of thinking, well, this dip can dip again. Let me be conservative on how much I'm dollar cost averaging. People just buy up as much as they can on the first couple of months of dips, and then they run out of cash, and then they're like, this is garbage, and then they sell for a loss. Other people don't buy at all because they want to buy the absolute bottom. They're so scared, they just want to buy the bottom. Guess what? The bottom's going to come, and it's going to go, and they'll never see it. They'll never see it. Appreciate every single one of you guys in here smashing those likes, hitting that subscribe. If you have not joined the Crypto Citadel, guys, the Crypto Citadel, my private trading community. This free webinar is over. We did that yesterday actually. So if you want to join the Crypto Citadel, you're going to be getting daily chart analysis, trade setups, trading course, exclusive trading indicator, live trading sessions, and trading signals, all for $5 a day. So make sure you guys are joining now if you are interested. Get in while you can still fit in. I believe there's a 50% code right now to get 50% off your first month. Let me see. Let me go see right now. If there isn't, I'm going to make a code right now for you guys, 50% off. Let's see. Nope, I'm going to be making you guys a code right now, my friends. Let's see. What should we name this? Let's name it. What should we name the code? What should we put the promo code? What should we put the promo code for 50% off? Citadel 50. Citadel 50. Let's go. Citadel 50 discount, 50% off for your first time, for your first month. For your first month. Boom. If we type in Citadel 50 right now, boom, 50% off your first payment. 50% off just to try it out, meaning it's only $78, meaning it's less than $3 a day. It's like, yeah, it's like $2, less than $2. Less than $2 a day to be in there, guys, to try it out for your first month. Citadel 50, get yourself 50% off your first month to try out the trading course, the exclusive indicators, the trading signals, and everything that we're posting in the Crypto Citadel. If you guys are interested in doing that, do that right now, guys. Citadel 50 to get yourself 50% off your first month. Let's get it. It's fine. 2026 will be amazing. Buy the dip, folks. Yeah, depends on your trading strategy. Depends on, you know, if you're going based off charts, there's not too much to panic, because even if we drop to 67,000, it's not the end of the world. It's an expected target, and it's not like we can only dump forever. We will have a push back up. We will find support. So 30K is bottom. Look at the pattern. What pattern? We won't see below 58K anymore. I hope you're right, Barista Hunter. I hope you are right, my friend. I hope you are right. He says, I keep stacking up a lot these few days. Ondo, Hype, Injective, Algorand, SUI. Let's go. If you got the capital, go for it. If you have the risk tolerance, knowing that those altcoins can definitely continue to drop another 30, 40%, right? But you're willing to dollar cost average into them, then there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that at all, guys. So I appreciate every single one of you guys in here. If you're not already in the Crypto Citadel, definitely do so and join. Like I said, 50% off right now with the link in the profile using the code Citadel50. Citadel50 to get yourself 50% off your first month, guys, to try out the Crypto Citadel, my private trading community, daily trade setups, live trading sessions, trading course, and so much more, all being posted in there every single day, guys. So I'll see you guys. Like always, I'm Blockchain Crusader, crusading through these blockchains, and I'll see you in the Crypto Citadel. See ya.